and welcome to the channel. The deep web is one of the most amazing things in the world. Not because it makes people or anything happy, but because it is a completely uncensored view of people. You can speak your mind, buy what you want, do anything you want. When you are on the deep web, you have complete and utter freedom. I have always been fascinated by the deep web, and at the time of the events in this story, I was at college. A lot of people on my campus had really got into accessing the deep web. It was almost like a trend, with so many people getting into it. It seemed perfectly safe to me to give it a try. Now, I had always heard the horror stories about the deep web, tales of hacking, stumbling across disgusting sites, and people even finding your address somehow. These stories were the main thing that kept me away from the deep web. But with most of the people at my college used it on a regular basis, I decided to give it a go. I asked a friend to come over and help me set it up. When my friend arrived, we opened up my laptop and started setting everything up. He told me that they were using a program to access the deep web. He also asked me if I was planning to do anything illegal. I said no. He said that since I wasn't, we didn't need to install Tails, which is apparently software that makes it more secure if you are planning to do something illegal. A little while later, everything was set up. I had my new IP address, and my friends were giving me a quick tutorial on what to do and what not to do. He made it very clear that if I wanted to use the hidden wiki, that I had to stay in censor mode, so that less likely to see something I did not want to see. After about 2 weeks of using the deep web, I felt like a pro. I had visited many different sites, talked to some great people, made friends, even bought some weed. I had become cocky and ready to dig deeper into the dark web. I turned off the centered mode on the hidden wiki and started browsing the links. Took a while, mainly because Tori has slowed down a bit. Many of the links just led to dead web pages. Eventually, I stumbled upon a site called All the Gore. It was just one big chat room with many different topics. I had a pretty strong stomach, and I had seen a lot of violent films, and had seen beheadings, etc., through the normal internet. After looking at a few different chat rooms, I realized how sick this site really was. The people in these chat rooms were real killers. They were bragging about some of the things they had done. In the chat room, you could also post pictures. A man called Culture045 had the stage in one of the chat rooms. He explained in detail how he had broken into someone's house, kidnapped a little girl, and brutally murdered her parents by hiding under their bed, and then slit their throats. He then explained how took the little girl back to his house, abused her, beat her, and cut her up. At first, I didn't think he was telling the truth, but then he posted pictures. They were the most I have ever seen. Close-up of the poor 8 to 10-year-old girl being brutally attacked, beaten, and cut with a knife. Culch kept posting pictures, the new ones of the girl tied to a chair, bleeding, crying, vomiting, etc. Then he showed a picture of him with a drill drilling into her skull. The most haunting part is that while he was doing it, he was looking at the camera with pure joy on his face. I had seen enough and typed into the chat room window, "You people are sick and deserve to die. How can you sleep at night?" Immediately, people began to make fun of me, saying that I was as helpless and ignorant as the little girl in the pictures, and that I should off the big boy part of the internet. They started calling me a pussy and called me an empath. When Culture typed something into the chat box, he said, "Really? Where do you live, mate? I'm sure everyone would love to see you on this site." I then made the biggest mistake of my life, and I called the police and had this site shut down. Less than a minute later, everything on the site went black, and a new chat box appeared in green. Someone called Admin1 typed into the box. He said, "Call the police and you will regret it." I didn't type anything into the box, and grabbed my mobile phone. What happened next haunts me to this day. My phone said I had one new message. I opened it and it said, "Call the police and you're dead." There was no number. It didn't even say no number. It was just blank. I looked back at my laptop and saw my webcam light on. I quickly covered it up, but I saw a picture of me on the screen, looking at my phone. My eyes went wide and I froze for a moment, as the admin typed again. Put the phone down immediately and uncover your webcam. I put the phone down but kept the webcam covered. Then he typed again. Okay, be like that. Right after he typed my full name, an address in the chat box and typed, "It would be a shame if you and your college mates went missing, wouldn't it?" I then did as he said and uncovered my webcam. He told me to follow his instructions, how to make it impossible for me to reach the site. Again, I followed every single one. When I finished, I got a text saying, "Now don't ever try to come back." Just like before. It had no number. I called the police from my friend's phone, but they could never find the site. If you ever go on the deep web, don't ever explore it mindlessly, especially if you don't have the extra software to keep you safe. I was a stupid student, and I just hope nobody makes the same mistakes I did. I moved to another house and changed all my information, but I still have nightmares to this day. This happened a few days after my original story about the deep web. I was extremely upset by what had happened. The police tried to track down the website, but as there was no way for them to recover my story, and I had originally found the sick site by clicking on random links, it seems pretty hopeless to find it. The police told me to change all my information about myself and move in with a friend. After changing pretty much all my details, I decided to stay with my friend David. David was a very honest, hard-working person. He never went to parties, was lazy, got drunk/high. He was very committed to finishing college. In fact, he was one of the few kids I knew at the time who wasn't regularly on the deep web. I told him all about my experiences on the deep web, and that's the main reason why he agreed to let me stay with him. One night we were both studying very late. When my phone went off, I looked to see who was texting me, and saw that the person sending the message had no number, just like last time. It read, "Check your computer." There was nothing else in it, just a simple instruction. I opened my laptop, and as I did so, I realized I didn't have control of the mouse. I tried to move it, but the mouse had just moved on its own. Someone had somehow gained remote access to my computer. I have never given anyone remote access before. I tried a bunch of keyboard commands, but not a single one worked. I noticed that whoever had control of my laptop was downloading software, most likely malware, but there was nothing I could do about it. I heard my phone go off again, and this time the message said, "Look out your window." I was sitting next to a window. I didn't know which window the guy was talking about. I looked out of the one I was sitting by and saw a man in the car park. He was leaning against the white van. He had a telephone in his hand, and when I looked at him, he nodded. My phone went off again. Type and hold Shift-Alt-F5 simultaneously to activate the software. I called David into my room to show him what was going on. He seemed as nervous as I was, but with the man outside our window, we didn't want to upset him. They called the police straight away and told me they would be there soon. I didn't activate the software and just sat there. Eventually, I got another text. "I'm coming in if you don't do it now." I didn't know why he, or whoever was in control of my computer, couldn't do it, but I didn't dare ask. At the same time, though, I was 99% sure that this program was malware or spyware or something that would be very damaging to my computer, so I refused to activate it. David grabbed a baseball bat, just in case the man outside tried to get in. About 5 minutes later, we heard the twilight turning. It was locked, but then we heard banging on the door. We both freaked out, and I looked out the window again. Sure enough, the man and the van were gone. The banging on the door got louder and louder, until finally, we heard a terrible scratching sound. It went on for a few minutes, and then we heard footsteps running down the hall, and finally fading away. I got another text. "We will be back." That really got to me. When the police arrived, they told me to check my door. I followed them back into the hallway and saw, engraved on our door, my name. The police started to search the whole building, and they had a technical police officer to come in and look at my computer. He started scanning and investigating the weird software on my laptop. Eventually, he managed to close it and remove it, and told me that my laptop wasn't safe. He said the core files had been hacked and corrupted. We did a complete wipe of my laptop, and he looked at my phone too, just like last time. He couldn't tell where the messages were coming from, and told me that I should keep some cups nearby, in case it happened again. The next day, I had just come home from school and was really tired. David wasn't home yet, so I went into my room and got into bed. I had just started to close my eyes when I heard a rattling noise in my cupboard. I lifted my head up and didn't hear it again, so I went back to sleep. After a few minutes, the cupboard door swung open. I jumped out of bed and saw a man in a mask coming towards me. I ran for the door and slammed it behind me. I ran out into the car park. I started my car and drove away as fast as I could. By the time the police arrived, the man was gone, of course. The flat, surprisingly, it wasn't wrecked or anything. We didn't even find anything stolen. He didn't seem to have done anything at first. That night, 2 policemen were watching everyone who came in, out of the building, to catch the man. I opened my laptop and noticed that my wallpaper had changed. It was just a bunch of trees, but had been changed to a disgusting photo of a man wearing a mask. The same mask that I had seen on the man who was in my cupboard, digging a knife into a baby's eyes in what looked like a small hut. I also noticed that all my applications and programs were gone, and I saw the same software as the last time, right in the middle. I clicked on it, and it was already installed, just like last time. Filled the whole screen, and what looked like a live stream was going on. Couldn't get out, and the live stream was coming from a boy's house. He looked about 13 or 14, and was on his computer. It didn't take me long to see that. I was looking through his webcam, and he had no idea. I saw a little chat box pop up at the bottom right of the screen, and someone was typing into it, "Welcome to our live stream. We are delighted that everyone could be here. Thank you, John, for joining us." My eyes went wide. My name was John, and they waited until for the live stream to start. As I watched, I saw the cupboard door behind the boy slowly open, and a man walked out with a toolbox in his hand. He put the toolbox down quietly and took out some duct tape. He went behind the boy. He put the tape over the boy's mouth and grabbed him tightly. The poor boy's face was one of total terror. He tried to scream but couldn't because of the tape. They were making quite a lot of noise. Told me the kid must have been home alone. Major NSFW here, so please proceed with caution. I tried very hard to get out, but I couldn't. Then I saw the man take out a screwdriver and plunge it into the boy's chest. Blood started pouring out, and the child made a terrible wheezing sound. I saw tears coming out of his eyes as the sick man began to turn the screwdriver deeper and deeper, and then pulled it out. The man took out a hammer and smashed the guitars several times until they were nothing but a mangled, bloody mess. I tried every command I could think of to get out, but nothing worked. I noticed that in the chat box, several people were cheering the man on and asking him to do various things. To the boy, the man took out a portable electric saw, held it up to the boy's face, and turned it on. The boy screamed in pain as the saw went into his eye. There was blood everywhere, and got on the camera a bit too. I started to get tears in my eyes because I couldn't stop it. Then the man picked up the screwdriver, gouged out the boy's eyes, and took out a big knife. He slit the boy's throat and threw him on the floor. I was sick. I vomited all over the floor, and when I looked back, I saw the chat box. People typing horrible things like, "Fat, fat, fat," or "Oh my God, that was so wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this," etc. In the box, I saw someone called Culture 045 typing into the box, "Thank you for watching, Jan. After that, the program closed by itself, and I was left with a disgusting wallpaper. I was sweating, breathing heavily and feeling sick. The whole time, I didn't realize that my phone had switched off. Several times, I looked at it and the most hateful, nasty messages from my friends and family. I asked my mom what was going on and she took it back. You are sending this sick, disturbing live stream to everyone. I can't believe who you are. The police were called. I felt even more sick than before. Those monsters had somehow sent this live stream to all my friends and made it come from me. They had pretty much ruined my life. Within a few minutes, when the police arrived, I told them everything that had happened, and they quickly managed to explain to all my friends and family what had happened. They really worked hard to find these people, and a month later, 4 men had been arrested. One was Culture 045, and the other was Admin 1, and the other 2 were working with them. The website was also found and shut down, and I was given a new laptop and phone. I could say some horror cliche here and say something like I kept getting texts or have been hearing strange things ever since. But none of that happened. They were arrested and I never heard anything more. It's good to know that these men are in jail or maybe even dead. But what scares me is all the people who watched the live stream, who were there for fun, are still out there, and that there are probably thousands of Culture 045s out there, all over the world. If you ever go on the deep web, make sure you're as careful as possible